There's something quietly terrifying about the times we're living in. Uncertainty isn't just a distant idea anymore. It's the daily reality for millions. Job security feels like sand slipping through your fingers. Friendships and relationships feel fragile, and no matter how hard you try to stay ahead, it often feels like you're just barely surviving. Many of you wake up each morning with your heart pounding, unsure of what the day will bring. The questions don't stop. Will I make it? Will things get better? Am I alone in this fight? You might not say them out loud, but they echo in your soul. And to those questions, God speaks, not with cold theology or religious jargon, but with a whisper so personal, it silences the chaos. Fear not, I have already been to your tomorrow. Can you even begin to grasp that? The very moment you're afraid of, the deadline you're dreading, the decision you're paralyzed by, the pain you're bracing for, He has already walked through it. He's not catching up with your life's events. He's gone ahead of them. And more than that, He's not just aware of your need. He has prepared what you will need when you get there. You may feel like you're walking into the unknown, but God is the light that turns darkness into a path. So even when your steps are shaky, you are not walking blind. Even if you trip, He will catch you. And if you wander off the path, if confusion or fear makes you take a wrong turn, His voice will call you back, not with shame, but with grace. This is not poetic exaggeration, it's divine reality. And it is this reality that gives us the strength to face life's unknowns with courage instead of panic. But here's the thing. While many debate whether God exists because they can't see Him, you have seen Him in the hidden moments, in the quiet miracles, in the whispers that turned into breakthroughs. You know what I'm talking about. Those moments when you were at your lowest and something inexplicable lifted you. Those tears you cried when no one else knew, and somehow peace found you anyway. That's not coincidence. That's presence. That's the hand of God. And now your story carries weight. It may not feel polished. You may think your faith journey is too messy to share. But that's exactly why it matters. Because there's someone out there right now whose heart has gone cold. They've stopped hoping. They've stopped praying. And your story might just reignite something in them. You don't need a microphone or a perfect script. God isn't looking for performance. He's looking for availability. Moses stuttered. David was overlooked. Yet God used them powerfully, not because they were impressive, but because they were willing. And it's the same with you. Speak from a genuine heart. Share your journey, not as someone who has it all figured out, but as someone who knows what it's like to be carried by grace. When you do, His Spirit will take your humble words and multiply their impact. What seems small to you can become life-changing for someone else. But while you give to others, don't forget this truth. Your well-being matters to God. Let me say that again. Your health, your emotional balance, your rest, it matters deeply to the one who created you. We live in a culture that glorifies hustle, where burnout is worn like a badge of honor. But God never asked you to destroy yourself in His name. He called you His temple, not His tool. He wants you whole, not just productive. And for that, you need to rest. Some of you feel guilty when you pause. You feel lazy when you say no. You feel weak when you need help. But even Jesus, the Son of God, stepped away from the crowds to rest, to pray, to be renewed. If He needed it, so do you. There is no glory in driving yourself into the ground. There is no holiness in self-neglect. When you're weary, God is not disappointed. He says, "Come aside with me. Let me pour into you. Let me quiet the world and heal your soul." And that healing happens not through performance, but through presence, His presence. You are not required to be everything for everyone. You are required to be faithful to what He's called you to. And sometimes that means stepping back, breathing, and letting Him carry the load for a while. Because if you burn out, you can't fulfill the purpose He placed inside you. So don't ignore the warning signs. Don't brush off the fatigue. Your rest isn't weakness. It's wisdom. It's worship. It's survival. So today, I want you to remember this. You are not walking alone into an uncertain future. You are not too small or too broken for your story to matter. And you are not a machine built to endlessly give without receiving. God has already stepped into your tomorrow. He is calling you to speak from the heart, to rest when you're weary, and to trust that even when you can't see the path is still being prepared. That is your reality. That is your promise. That is your hope. Have you ever had a moment where you just wanted to cry, but not because of any one event or tragedy? Just an ache that had no name, that deep, restless pain that lingers in your soul like a bruise? You go about your day, smile when you must, perform your duties, but inside there's this quiet fatigue, this unanswered hunger. You're not sure whether you're exhausted, broken, lonely, or just numb. And no matter how much you pray, the answers feel delayed. You begin to wonder, is God hearing me at all? Has He forgotten me? But listen carefully. Your delays are not denials. Silence is not absence. Just because it feels like God is quiet doesn't mean He is uninterested. In fact, it's during those seasons of delay that something powerful happens. God strips away your performance. He allows the delay to kill your pride, to silence your need for applause, to remove your dependency on outcomes. Why? So that when He does move, when the answer finally comes, it won't just be a gift. It will be a rebirth. And you will know that it was never your strength, your talent, or your effort. It was His mercy, pure, undiluted, timed to perfection. But that kind of faith that waits even when it hurts, requires trust. And trust requires surrender. That's the hardest part, isn't it? Surrender. We're not taught to let go. We're taught to fix, to push, to strive. But when it comes to God, surrender isn't giving up. It's giving in to the one who already holds the outcome. It's not passive defeat. It's active faith. It's standing in the dark with empty hands and saying, God, I don't know what you're doing, but I'm still yours. And if all you want right now is me, not my works, not my plans, not my hustle, just me, then here I am. And in that moment, something shifts. You begin to see that God doesn't want just your good days. He wants your disappointments, your failures, your shame, your fears, because He can't heal what you hide. He can't bless what you pretend doesn't exist. But when you surrender, really surrender, you unlock a deeper relationship with Him. One that's not based on conditions or results, but on intimacy. You start walking with Him, not because life is easy, but because even in chaos, He is constant. Many of you have wounds that never fully healed. Childhood pain, betrayal, rejection, loss. You've buried them deep because you thought ignoring them was strength. But strength is not pretending to be fine. Strength is walking into God's presence and saying, here's the part of me that still bleeds. Heal it in your way, in your time. And when you do that, the Spirit of God doesn't just patch you up. He makes you whole. The kind of wholeness where you no longer live in reaction to your trauma. The kind of wholeness where peace becomes your default posture, not anxiety. And with that transformation comes another miracle. You start to see yourself differently. You begin to shed the false labels the world placed on you. You are no longer the anxious one, the failure, the addict, the disappointment, the not good enough. You are not what your past says you are. You are not what your fear says you are. You are who God says you are, chosen, called, seen, deeply loved, and fully known. That identity does not come from self-help or confidence tricks. It comes from knowing who your Father is. And when you truly believe that you are His child, you stop chasing validation. You stop performing for approval. You begin to walk in the quiet boldness of someone who is secure, not because of what they've done, but because of who they belong to. And finally, from this place of transformation, a new lifestyle is born. The lifestyle of daily, constant prayer. Not performance-based prayer. Not prayer to get something, but real, raw, honest communion with God. Prayer becomes like breathing, natural, necessary, and life-sustaining. You talk to Him when you're driving, when you're crying, when you're laughing, when you're doubting. And over time, you begin to notice something powerful. Your reactions change. Your perspective shifts. Your joy isn't as fragile. Your peace isn't so easily stolen. Why? Because you're no longer living as a spiritual orphan. You are abiding in Him. And when you abide, you bear fruit, not because you're trying hard, but because you're connected to the source. So today I want to invite you not to try harder, but to draw closer. Come as you are, with your weakness, with your questions, with your scars. Come boldly, because your Father is waiting, not to judge you, but to heal you. Your delays have a purpose. Your pain has meaning. Your story has power. And your tomorrow is already in His hands. You are not forgotten. You are not too late. And you are certainly not too broken. Let Him finish the work He began in you. Trust His process. Embrace the transformation. And pray without filters, without fear. Because in that sacred daily communion, everything begins to change.